So today's lesson is called Solving Two-Step Equations. By the end of today's lesson, you'll be able to solve any equation that has multi-steps, more than one step, in order to solve for a variable. So first off, a quick review of all our rules. So first off, ladies and gentlemen, our goal has not changed. Our goal is still to isolate the variable, and remember, we have to undo the operations. We're doing the opposite of it. So if you're adding 7, that means you're going to be subtracting 7 to get rid of it. If it's 2x, how do we get rid of it? By dividing by 2. We're doing the opposite, going backwards. And then our other rules. Rule 3, remember, whatever you do to one side, you must do the other. Remember, both sides of the equation. If we're subtracting 7 on one side, subtract 7 on the other. Or if you're dividing by 3 on one side, divide 3 on the other. Now, our new rule, ladies and gentlemen, is rule number 4. When we're dealing with a multi-step equation, you're going to undo your addition or subtraction first, then multiply or divide. So think of it as PEMDAS working backwards. Key thing, PEMDAS working backwards. Before we always multiplied, divide, then added, subtracted. Now this is backwards. We're going to do addition or subtraction first, then multiplication, division. We're working backwards now. So in your notes, directions are just to solve and go and write down number 1. Now, I told you, this is basically PEMDAS backwards. So we're going to undo addition or subtraction first. So let's take a look. Am I adding, subtracting? Yes, I am. What am I adding or subtracting? I am adding 4. Now, remember, my goal is still to get x all by itself. So how do I get rid of this 4? Well, since I'm adding 4, or it's a positive 4, I'm going to subtract 4 on both. It's supposed to be a 4. Subtract 4 on both sides. So my 5x hasn't changed. So that's going to come on down. So I have my 5x. Now my 4's cancel out to 0. Bring down my equal sign. Then what's 39 minus 4? That's going to give me 35. So I've done the addition and subtraction part of PEMDAS. What's my next step? To either multiply or divide. So what am I doing? I am multiplying. Well, since I'm multiplying, how do I undo multiplication? Through division. So to divide 5 on one side, I divide 5 on the other. My 5's cancel out. X is all by itself, which was my goal. So x is equal to 35 divided by 5 is 7. 7 will be my answer. Now let's say you're not sure. One way of checking to make sure you have the right answer is to check it. Well, how do I check it? You're going to take this answer and plug it back in. So my original equation was 5 times x plus 4 is equal to 39. Well, I'm saying that x is equal to 7. So I'm going to plug it in right over there. So I go ahead and plug in my 7. So let's see, 5 times 7 is 35 plus 4. See, 35 plus 4 is 39. Now the question is, does 39 equal 39? Yes, it does. So that means x equals 7 is my answer. So this is how we can check our work, ladies and gentlemen. We take the answer, we plug it back into the original equation. So make sure you have all the steps in your notes. Now go write example number 2 in your notes. We're going to work this one together. So once again, we're doing PEMDAS backwards. So I need to look, am I adding, subtracting anything? Yes, I am. I have this positive 7 all by itself because this is 7 minus x. Now how do I get rid of this positive 7? So let's see, if I have a positive 7, that means I'll subtract 7 on both sides. Well, it's supposed to be 7. My 7's will cancel out. Now don't lose that negative. It's in front of my term. It's in front of my variable. So this becomes a negative x is equal to, see, 12 minus 7 is 5. Now, how in the world am I get rid of this negative? Now remember, technically there's a 1 in front of here, so I have a negative 1x. How can I get rid of this? So, if I'm multiplying, technically this is negative 1 times x. So if I'm multiplying, how to get rid of multiplication? Through division. So let's divide this by negative 1, divide this by negative 1. So my negatives cancel out, my 1's cancel out. X is all that's left over, which was my goal. Let's bring down my x. Now, can I simplify this fraction? Yes, I can. What's negative 1 divided into 5? It becomes negative 5, and negative 5 will be my answer. Then, to make sure, remember, you can always check your work. Check it. Well, it's supposed to be neat. Let's check it. If I were to plug negative 5 into my equation, I would have had 7 minus a minus 5. Well, what happens when I have double negatives? They turn into positive. What's 7 plus 5? 12. What's my answer? 12. So that means this answer is correct. My x does equal negative 5. Now, on your own, go and solve number 3 and number 4. Remember, we are doing PEMDAS backwards. So you're looking for your addition and subtraction first, that's what you're doing, then multiplication and division. So if you're working these at home, for number 2 you should have gotten 12, and for number 3 you should have gotten 12, and for number 4 you should have gotten negative 27. Now in your notes, go and write number 5 down. Now number 5, once again, we are still working PEMDAS backwards. So we're looking for addition and subtraction first. So I take a look. I have 10 minus 3/4 x. So a negative 3/4 x is over there. I have this positive 10 I have to worry about. How do you get rid of a positive? Through a negative. So I subtract 10 on both sides. 10s cancel out. Now don't lose your negative. The negative is going to stay right there. I have a negative 3/4 x is equal to 18. Now, technically, this is negative 3/4 times x. How do we undo multiplication? Usually through division. But we have a fraction. So what are we going to be doing? Now remember, if we're ever multiplying by a fraction, how do we get rid of it? By multiplying it by its reciprocal. So it'd be 4 over negative 3. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So multiply by 4 over negative 3. Put a 1 underneath it. Now why do we multiply by the reciprocal? Because they cancel out, cancel. I'll do all my cross canceling. X is the only thing left over. So x is equal to, now let's take a look at this fraction. Always check, can you cross cancel? That's the question. In this case, I can, because I have this 3 and I have this 18. So divide this one by 3, divide this one by 3, cancels out, end up with a 6, cancels out, end up with a negative 1. So I end up with 6 times 4, which is 24, divided by negative 1, which I can simplify down to x is equal to negative 24. And that will be my answer. Now, on your own, go and try to do number 6. For those of you working at home, you should have gotten 39 divided by negative 2. Now write me a 2-sentence summary. Are you now able to solve a multi-step equation when you're trying to solve for a variable? How do you do that? By doing PEMDAS backwards. We always undo addition or subtraction first, then multiplication and division. Remember, our goal is still the same, to isolate the variable.